We don't exactly have a shortage of Souls-like action games. If anything, that might be one of the most active and crowded genres in the industry right now. Intermittent releases from Software itself apart, several other studios in the industry have also stepped forward with efforts of their own. Newest in line is the First Berserker Khazan, a revenge-driven Souls-like action RPG spin-off set in the long-running Dungeon and Fighter universe from Neople and Nexon, which is out now. The First Berserker isn't exactly a perfect game, as our own review here at GamingBolt pointed out, as have many others. The slick and bloody action title is dragged down in several ways, quite a few of which feel quite significant, which is to say Neople's debut in the genre doesn't exactly scale the heights of something like, say Lies of P, which many have come to accept as one of the best non-From Software Souls-likes out there. But though the First Berserker isn't quite on that level, it's still got its strengths, which, as our review mentioned, make it worth look for fans of Souls-like or action games in general. Now let's get those pesky flaws out of the way first, because there are a few to be talked about, and they're not the sort of issues that you can easily sweep under the rug. That'd be an awfully bumpy rug all the same. One of the more prominent ones is its story and storytelling, which might feel like a silly thing to be complaining about in a Souls-like, at face value at least, if not for the fact that this is a game that does try to place a greater emphasis on traditional storytelling than has usually been the case with this genre over the years. The First Berserker Khazan is a revenge tale focused on the mysterious and brooding character Khazan. The titular protagonist finds himself severely physically mutilated, betrayed, and cast down, his service to the Empire against the Berserk Dragon all but effectively forgotten, after which he decides, with the help of a phantasmal companion known as the Blade Phantom, to embrace newfound supernatural powers and embark on a quest for vengeance. With a fairly decent setup, on paper at least, and a protagonist voiced by Ben Starr of Final Fantasy XVI fame, the First Berserker Khazan had the elements in place to tell at least a fairly fun, if tropey, revenge action story. It fails on all counts, with a bog-standard plot, predictable twists and turns, and a disappointingly flat protagonist.
Prove to me you're worthy.
On the gameplay front, the First Berserker stumbles with things such as enemy repetition and bland side quests, but perhaps its biggest issue is its ultra-linear design philosophy and the impact that has on exploration. The game adopts a hub-driven linear structure like Demon Souls, but each area that you visit feels a little too restrained. With not too much by way of exploration and little else to keep you engaged beyond what the game itself wants you to engage with, the First Berserker is a game that feels particularly susceptible to repetition and monotony, and sure enough, once you get deep enough into the game, you do feel those things beginning to set in. Fortunately, when the First Berserker Khazan is at its best, it is absolutely fantastic. Also, fortunately, the thing that is at best at what it's smartly focusing on first and foremost, and the thing that might be arguably the most crucial in such a game, is the combat. The combat, the challenge, the sense of progression, and the boss fights are what the majority of folks come to Souls-likes for, above all else, and in pretty much all of these areas, the First Berserker is something of a slam dunk. It takes bits and pieces from a number of other similar titles out there, borrowing from the likes of Dark Souls, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Nioh, and even a little bit from Black Myth Wukong, and delivers, in the end, a grueling and satisfying action game with slick and challenging combat that is consistently fun to master, especially when you're coming up against its particular and spectacular roster of boss fights here. The combat nails all of the fundamental elements of a Sekiro-coded Souls-like system. You've got your blocks, your dodges, your parries, you've got your perfect dodges and perfect parries, you've got unblockable attacks, which can also be parried with special riskier parries. You have a stamina and stagger system where accumulating stagger by successfully blocking and parrying flurries of attacks will eventually make your foe break their guard for a moment in which to deal heavy damage and dole out vicious attacks of your own. Aggressive parry-based combat systems can help deliver some of the best, most thrilling gameplay when done right, and the First Berserker Khazan definitely does it right. Though it fails to sufficiently capture the themes of rage and vengeance in its story that it claims are so central to it, it does an excellent job of imbuing its combat systems with exactly that sort of desired aggression. As you would imagine, the game's enemy design helps significantly contribute to that as well. No matter how tight the mechanics are, you're not going to have any fun with them if the enemies you're taking on don't compel you to properly engage with them, and boy does the First Berserker knock the ball out of the park in this arena. Nothing exemplifies that better than its bosses, which we've already touched on here. Each boss forces you to learn and master a different fact of gameplay and presents a face-smacking skill check that you're not going to be able to overcome unless you pay attention, and yes, get good. The excellently designed boss fights sport memorable visual design, and perhaps much more importantly, incredible fight design, with unique movesets that are a blast to figure out and deal with, and stiff and diverse challenges that are incredibly satisfying to come out on top against at the end of a harrowing fight. Surprisingly, the First Berserker also gives players greater freedom and progression than you would expect at first glance, with quite a few options available that let you tailor the gameplay to your needs. Each of the three main weapon types feels significantly different to use, and by extension master, which separate and dedicated skill trees for each will also let you explore new options in combat, such as relying more on dodges if getting the parry timing right isn't something that you're completely confident you're going to be able to do at all times. There's also attributes to upgrade gear to min-max, skill points to summon, allies that can be summoned, and more. The First Berserker never feels like an easy game, though it does have an easy mode for those who want a relatively more forgiving experience, but the surprising flexibility it offers with its progression mechanics does let you surmount stiff challenges in different ways. Given the sheer wealth of Souls-like games out there, it's never easy to confidently recommend one over everything else, unless the game in question just so happens to be that special. The First Berserker Khazan is maybe not that special, Lies of P or Neo it is not, but it's an aggressive, fast-paced, challenging action game with excellent combat, memorable boss fights, and compelling progression mechanics. It has its flaws, yes, and not necessarily insignificant ones, but for genre fans it's still well worth checking out. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.